Don't set yourself up for failure like that when there are 10 things that I'm going to recommend you do. In fact, if you don't have a pen and paper, hit pause. Go grab a pen and paper, come back. I promise you that of these 10, 3, 4, 5, maybe even all 10 will be applicable to you, and you're going to wish that you had done this step. Hey team, Mike here at After40 Fitness and After40Fitness.ca. I want to do a video on an introduction to low carb. Now, of course, when I say low carb, I mean keto, Atkins, and intermittent fasting. But generally speaking, what I'm noticing more and more in the forums is people are starting without doing any background research, any checking, any Googling even for that matter. And so I thought, if I had a video 10 years ago when I started Atkins and then migrated into keto that explained what to do prior to starting, I would have enjoyed that. I would have appreciated that. So that's what this video is. It's a culmination of a bunch of questions and watching people in social media just flounder, get hit with keto flu and not know what it is. Can you imagine in 2020 people not knowing what keto flu is and how to avoid it? It's baffling. So let's do that. This is your first time to my channel or you haven't yet, please do subscribe. Hit the like button, subscribe to the video, like the video, share the video. This is one of those videos, frankly, that if you're considering keto, Atkins, low carb, or intermittent fasting, you really want to keep this one saved. Not to mention, if you know anybody who's considering a low carb way of life, a low carb way of eating, or intermittent fasting, you're going to want to share this link with them. Save it. Save it to your saved files in YouTube, or grab the link and save it somewhere for posterity's sake. I promise you, if someone had shared this, I know I'd appreciate it. You know your friends will too. So on that note, the reason, again, why I think this kind of a video is so profound is there are phases or stages of keto. My next video is going to be on the 5 stages or phases of keto. Too many people, in my opinion, my humble opinion, jump into a diet program and say, I want to start today. I'm going to start tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to start Atkins or keto. I don't know much about it, but I'm just going to jump in, and I hear you have to cut carbs, no flour, no sugar, and I'm in. Don't do that. Don't set yourself up for failure like that when there are 10 things that I'm going to recommend you do. In fact, if you don't have a pen and paper, hit pause. Go grab a pen and paper, come back. I promise you that of these 10, 3, 4, 5, maybe even all 10 will be applicable to you, and you're going to wish that you had done this step. Number 1, if you ask me, is accountability. I think there's nothing more important than having an accountability partner. You want to know why Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers and the Bernstein are so effective? It has nothing to do with their diet regimens. Their starvation level diets, huge calorie restrictive. You know why they're so good? Because you have to weigh in. You have to go in and see somebody. You have to go in and see a counselor 2 or 3. Bernstein, 3 times a week you go in and you pay somebody to give you a shot in the ass of B's, vitamin B's. Like, oh my God, like that, the accountability, the power of that. Accountability is awesome. So do yourself a favor, have someone to talk to. Have someone that you can share your failures as well as your successes. You can talk through when you're on the cliff at the edge. Have them talk you off the edge. Someone you don't mind sharing some good stuff. And if you don't have that person, if you truly don't have someone that you can talk to, you need to jump into Facebook. There are thousands of groups. Search for keto, for Atkins, for low carb, for intermittent fasting. Join a group and make some friends. And trust me, I'm in the social media forums every day in Facebook, and they're always holding each other accountable. It's awesome. Number 2 is goals. You have to have goals. I know that word is overused, but coming from a corporate environment, being a PM, a project manager myself, I love goals. I'm all about goals, but we don't just make goals for the sake of goals. We actually have an acronym called SMART. Have you ever heard of SMART goals? S-M-A-R-T. They actually stand for something. S is specific, measurable, right? Have to be measurable, actionable, or attainable. I like actionable myself. Realistic and timely. So fortunately, everything about our way, our regimen, our protocol it's all of those things. Okay, here I'll give you an example for S for specific. Don't just say, hey, I want to get lean. I want to get fit. Too vague. Right now it's November the 10th of 2020. A specific goal would be I want to drop 12 pounds between now and New Year's. That's good. That's specific. And I also, without even meaning to, put in the T for timely. I put in a boundary on the end of the time. 12 pounds by January 1st. I already satisfied 2 of them. Okay. M, is it measurable? Everything, fortunately, about what we're talking about, everything about our regimen is going to be measurable, whether it's on a scale, which I'm not partial to, but measuring tape or some way of figuring out your fat mass and your fat percentage. We'll talk about that some more. In fact, let's do it right now. Measurable in the form of, I really don't like the scale. Okay? I don't think people should use the scale more than once a month. There's too many daily fluctuations. Women, you guys have it so unfair that your hormones can make you fluctuate water 3-4 pounds a day. It's not fair, but it is what it is. And so People who weigh in every day, oh, silly. Setting yourself up for disappointment. Don't do that. Weigh once a month, but in the interim, take measurements. Get out a tape and take some measurements of your hips and thighs and butt. On top of that, there's a scale you can get now. I've got one of these. I'll show you a picture of it. It's really cool. Okay, I don't like regular scales because when it tells you your weight, it weighs everything. It tells you your water weight, your bone weight, your muscle weight, your organ weight, your connective tissue weight. None of those things matter. All you care about is losing fat. Right? Am I right? That's why you're here. So you can get one of these scales that you step on and it sends a little bit of a current through you. And based on the time it takes for the current to run through you and back down, it can then run an algorithm and tell you your fat mass, your fat percentage, your water weight, your bone weight, your muscle weight. Oh my God, those are metrics. So when we talk about measurable, that's key. All right, so that's something we can do as well as taking track of tape measurements and keeping track of our macros. Everything about this regimen is measurable. It's great. Number 3 is going to be to create a baseline of your current food intake. The acronym is TDEE, Total Daily Energy Expenditure. I'd like to know, if I was your coach and you came to my boot camp, I would want to know before you even started Keto Atkins Low Carb, what is your total daily expenditure of calories today? Right? That means tracking. That means get out a piece of paper and write down everything you put in your mouth, when, how much, and what it was. Okay, and I think you should do that for a week. I truly think you should do that for a week so that I could look at your timetable, at your schedule of what this protocol of the food that you eat prior to starting with me, and I could look at you and to tell you that, hey, you average 2,300 calories a day. That's a good baseline. You need to know that number. Okay, and there are many apps, right? You can get apps for your phone or your tablet, your smartphone. In fact, I'll give you 3. Chronometer is a popular one. MyFitnessPal, and my favorite is Carb Manager. Chronometer, MyFitnessPal, and Carb Manager will all let you track not only the food you ingest, but also make sure that it breaks out your macros. Your macros being your protein, your fat, and your carbs, so you know what you're getting on a daily basis in each. So now you decide to go low carb or keto or Atkins, we can see where the food that you've been eating falls in and which ones you obviously need to avoid. Right, so that's the kind of tracking or having an idea of your current food intake, why that's so important. Because number 4 is to take that information and now create a food plan. The number one thing, I shouldn't say number one, but a popular thing that people make a mistake of is just starting a diet without knowing what they're going to eat for the week. I know exactly what every meal is going to look like all week. The reason why that's so key is it reduces or eliminates the opportunities for failure. It doesn't allow you to get caught off guard. You can't go out to the mall and sit down in the food court and not know what you're going to have. Okay, if I do think there's an opportunity where I'm going to get caught off guard, I bring food with me. That's called having a food plan. So you take that information, number 3 of having your baseline, and now you create your food plan. When you use these apps, for example, Carb Manager doesn't care what you think your previous food intake was. You put in your height and your weight and your BMI and your age, and it's going to say that you need to eat 1,500 calories. Well, I'll know from your previous food week journal, I'll know that you average 2,500 calories a day. Well, there's no way. There's no way I want you to do a 1,000 calorie a day deficit. That's crazy. Your metabolism will crash on a 1,000 calorie deficit per day. You can't do it. Now, number 5 then is to have an exercise program. Don't think for a second that you should do any diet or caloric deficit, including Atkins or low carb, without an exercise program. Now, every day in the forum, someone will say, can I do keto or Atkins or low carb or intermittent fast without exercising? Of course you can. Don't be silly. I'm not coming to your house and twisting your arm and forcing you to do push-ups and squats. No one will. So absolutely you can lose weight. The problem with losing weight is that losing weight also includes losing muscle. Right? That's one of the benefits of our regimen, whether it's keto, Atkins, or low carb or intermittent fasting, is that we lose less. You may have heard the term muscle sparing. Keto and ketosis is muscle sparing. We also get a boost in growth hormone and IGF. Those are hormones that elevate during a fast. They're all muscle sparing. And what that means by muscle sparing is when you look at studies done on Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers or the Ornish or the Zone diet, of the weight loss, as much as 25 or 30% can be muscle loss. Did you know that? Did you know that 25 to 30% of weight loss is muscle on your typical Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Ornish diet? Okay, we can't afford that. You cannot afford to lose muscle to give it away like that. Luckily, because of ketones, because of growth hormone and IGF, our loss in a typical keto, Atkins, low carb, intermittent fasting regimen is between 5 and 10% depending on the study. So much less, hence the term muscle sparing. No one's ever called it muscle proof. Atkins and keto are not muscle proof. You will lose some in the absence of adequate protein and some form of resistance training. Therefore, it behooves you. Never mind the health benefits. The health benefits of working out, you know them. There's so many benefits to working out. Okay, longer than my arm, the list. But One of the big things about being in a long-term caloric deficit is it also wards off the loss of muscle. We want to reduce that 5 to 10% down to close to zero as is physically possible. We want to make it muscle-proof, being in this caloric deficit we call keto Atkins. So that requires an exercise program. No, you don't have to. Should you? Absolutely 100%. Don't argue with me. Okay, you know you should. So unless you're physically unable, unless you're bedridden or in chronic pain or have a back brace on that prevents you from doing anything, I believe it behooves you to know what you're obligated. I truly believe that unless you can't, you should do some measure of resistance training. And no, don't even start with me with but I go up and down some stairs at work, or I walk a lot, I do my 10,000 steps, or I chase the kids around the house with a pillow. Shut up. All good. None of those will stop muscle loss. And you know it. If you're honest with yourself and practical, okay, then you know, just be practical. Just be honest. You know that's not going to stop muscle loss. Okay, you need to resist. You need to lift something heavy till you can't lift it anymore. That's the only way to spark muscle protein synthesis, and I'll put 4 links to videos that have science proving that down below. Number 6, we talked about metrics. So as much as having a food plan and having SMART goals means everything has to be measurable, you need to capture metrics. Tom Clancy, in one of his books, I can't remember which one, he said if you didn't record it, it didn't happen. And I love that. It stuck with me 25 years later. I still remember that line. If you didn't record it, it never happened. So do that. Record everything. Record not just your calories and your macros and your food log, but also keep track of the measurements, the tape. There's some great apps that you can actually log your weight loss. I love that. All right, keep track of it, show the ups and downs, because it's never a straight line. I'll show that a little bit further in a future phase, that the weight loss is never linear. It's a roller coaster ride, but with a general slope downward is all we want, okay? But metrics, keep track of your body weight, your body fat percentage, your fat mass, your muscle, your measurements. Keep track of it all. It's so cool. And that ties nicely into number 7, which is take a selfie. I'll promise you, take a selfie. You will regret not having a selfie. I know it can be uncomfortable. When I weighed 265, it was uncomfortable. Now I get to show the before and after, though. Okay, now I get to show what I look like. And at some point, your selfie, your before picture will go nicely with an after picture. Trust me, you will regret not having it. Bite the bullet, take it, hide it. You don't have to share it with your accountability partner even if you don't want to, but have it for posterity. Because when you have success, you will look back with regret if you don't have a before picture. I promise you. Number 8 is clean out your pantry. Number 8 is get rid of the temptations. Get rid of anything that can cause you grief. For me, I have 2 temptations. Number 1, Doritos. I love Doritos. Number 2 is ice cream. Okay, those 2, I have a bite of either. If I put a Dorito in my mouth, I don't know about you, but I'm like a switch. The bag is mine. I mean, my precious. It's done. Same with a scoop of ice cream. I can't have a scoop of ice cream. I can't have a spoonful. I need a liter. So I say to my wife, let's just avoid those obstacles. Let's avoid those temptations entirely. But that means that once you clean up the pantry of all your white flours and white sugars and crappy foods and treats and candies, and then number 9 is you have to now fill it with the good stuff. And I mean good stuff in the form of you need some pepperettes, pepperoni sticks, a lot of cheeses. Right? You can't go wrong with cheese. Greek yogurt, make sure that's in the fridge. You also want to have some apple cider vinegar. You want to have another good source of sodium, or have a good source of sodium. So you want to have your salts, Redmond Red, Himalayan, Celtic sea salt. You also want to have pickle juice. Even if you don't eat the pickles, let your kids eat the pickles, but have the juice. Oh, athletes have been drinking pickle juice for eons because of the amount of sodium and the vinegar that's in it. Very good. Acetic acid. So good. And electrolytes. So not just sodium, but also make sure you have a good source of potassium, magnesium. Go to Costco. Costco's got Wisps. You ever seen Wisps? They're like Parmesan cheese wafers. They're a great replacement for chips. Okay, pop a little bit of those. I also like pork rinds. If you haven't gone to Costco or Sam's Club or something, you can find them online. Find a jug or a container of pork rinds. What a great substitute for Doritos. So I'm partial to them. I'll reach in and grab a handful of pork rinds, or I'll do them up and I'll show a picture here. I call them pseudo nachos. Put down a base of pork rinds covered in cheese and some hamburger or some cut up chicken, a little bit of Frank's Red Hot, some jalapenos. Oh, delish. And no nachos whatsoever. Nothing but good stuff. Nothing but protein. High collagen. So good. Okay, so that's what I mean by being prepped. Go do a Costco or a Sam's Club run and stock up on the good stuff, okay? And that leaves me with number 10. Number 10 is plan diet breaks. I'm going to put a video down below onto is it cheating or is it a refeed? So the term I want you to learn is refeeding. Refeeding is when you plan yourself a couple of higher carb days or higher carb meals, not even days, just meals. So for me, I plan twice a month about a 4-hour window. I try to aim for every other Saturday. And from dinner through bedtime, from dinner through until I go to bed, I mean open season. I mean, whatever I want. There's no limit. Burger and fries. I go to DQ and have an ice cream. I'll take the kids to the show, get into some popcorn, some licorice, some M&Ms with a root beer. Okay, I mean, frankly, it gets disgusting. But in my 4-hour window, twice a month, there's no limits. I eat till satisfaction. Okay, those are called refeeds. And the reason why I'm really partial to them is when I'll have a temptation midweek to eat some Doritos or some ice cream or something non-keto, non-Atkins midweek. I'll just remind myself, I'm only like 4 days away from my refeed. I don't want to give that up. So plan these diet refeeds for a couple of reasons. Again, their refeeds are not cheating. And the reason I say that is because cheating, if you understand what cheating is, what a stigma, what a bad word. Okay? You can't cheat with permission. That's not cheating. So because these are planned, because these refeeds are planned, they're part of my regimen, and adherence to my regimen dictates that I have them. How can that be cheating? It's not. It's a high carb day, or AKA a refeed. So I plan them. I look forward to them. I revel in them, and I thoroughly enjoy them. And because of that, guess what happened? Before I came up with this mentality, and I didn't come up with it, it's a methodology called CKD, cyclical keto. You can look it up. If you don't do this, you just do a standard SKD, standard keto diet. I'm partial to the cyclical, where twice a month I cycle in a higher carb day. There's a lot of theoretical benefits to it, of keeping you metabolically flexible. Anyway, I won't go into the details of this video, but I will link below to my refeed video. It's enjoyable. You will link to it after, and please enjoy it. But nonetheless, the idea behind them is that you get to plan these couple of days and per month, and because you plan them, you look forward to them. Guess what happens? No physiological impact. If you cheat, the psychosomatic response to that is, woe is me, I suck, I have no self-control, I'm a failure, and because of that, we get gut rot, indigestion, headache, nausea, lethargy. None of that happens. Isn't that funny? My entire boot camp crew employs this methodology, and none of us get that. The next morning we get up, we have a killer hit workout, we feel great, we look great, sick pumps, right? Because we don't have that. We're looking forward to it. We don't get those psychosomatic impacts. Well, there you have it. The 10 steps or preliminary steps to starting a regimen, a diet or exercise regimen of any kind, be that low carb, keto, Atkins, or intermittent fasting. I hope you saw some value in that. If not all 10 were applicable, at least a few. But do me a favor, keep that handy. All right? This is the video you're going to want to refer to. If for any reason you take time off from keto or Atkins or intermittent fasting and you decide to come back, take my advice. Treat it just like this time. Treat it just like the first time. Don't skip any steps. Do all 10 again and improve your chances of having success, of making this a long-term, sustainable way of eating or a way of life. On that note, I hope you got some value on it. Again, please do share. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Hey, hit that like button. If you found this at all entertaining, if you stole even 1 point, do me a favor. Hit the like button. If you do have any questions, any comments, any concerns, if you disagree with any of my 10 or you thought I missed a salient relevant point, do me a favor, please put that in the comments down below, or just leave me feedback. Tell me what you thought of these 10. If you agree that if someone followed those 10, if they made notes and followed that regimen, they would indeed improve their chances of success, be it keto, low carb, or Atkins, and definitely intermittent fasting. But on that note, I appreciate your time. I'll see you in the next one.